In this video, I'm going to show you how to use dynamic input, direct distance, and shortcut menus. Although AutoCAD has a command line at the bottom of the drawing area, which allows you to enter commands directly into the program, there is another more efficient way to manually enter commands called dynamic input. Dynamic input allows you to type input anywhere on the screen, much as you would in the command line. Let's draw a few shapes to see how this works. First, I start the line tool. On the screen, I can park my cursor anywhere I wish to enter a Cartesian coordinate to establish the first point of my geometry. I'll type 5 for my x-axis location and 10 for my y-axis location, then push the enter button on my keyboard. My first point has been established at the exact coordinates I entered. Now, as I move the mouse, my tracking data indicates I'm working with polar coordinates. It gives me two dialog boxes, one with a numerical distance and one with a polar angle that change as I move the cursor around. The box containing the numerical distance is highlighted in blue, indicating that I can type input. I type 10 in the numerical distance box, which is also known as direct distance. Then push the tab button on my keyboard to switch from direct distance to the polar angle box and enter 45, which represents degree of angle. I push the enter button on my keyboard and geometry is locked in at 10 units in length at 45-degree angle. This is dynamic input. Let's try a rectangle. I select the rectangle tool and bring my cursor to the drawing area. In the command line and next to my cursor, I see a message that asks for the first point of my rectangle. I can enter a Cartesian coordinate, but it's not necessary. I can simply click the left mouse button anywhere I wish to place the first point, and it will lock in automatically to that specific point using a Cartesian coordinate format. Now, in the next box to my cursor, or in the box next to my cursor, it requests that I enter a point for the opposite corner of my rectangle. I can simply click wherever on the screen, and much like I did when I placed my first point using the same method, the point will lock in, however, using a coordinate that is relative to or based on the first point. Or I can type the exact size that I want the rectangle to be. Again, notice the first dynamic input dialog box representing the x-axis requests a numeric value. I'll type 10 to represent 10 feet direct distance because I want this rectangle to be 10 feet wide. Now I'll push the tab button on my keyboard to switch to the y-axis input box and type -5 because I want this rectangle to be 5 feet direct distance in the downward direction from the first point that I placed. If I were to type 5 instead of -5, my rectangle would form above the first point, like so. Keep that in mind for later. All other geometric tools work in a similar fashion. I select the circle tool from the draw panel and move to the drawing area. It requests that I establish the first point of the circle and can just click anywhere in the drawing area or enter a Cartesian coordinate. After I establish the first point, which will be the center of my circle, it asks for more input to indicate the radius of the circle. If I would rather input the diameter, I type a D and enter the numeric value of the diameter. This is again direct distance. Now that we have a couple of new shapes in the drawing area, I can show you how to use the shortcut menu. At any time, you can click the right mouse button, just like you would in any software program, and a menu listing available options will appear. In AutoCAD, the list of options depends on the tool you are currently using. Without being in any tool, the options are pretty generic. But if I click on the circle tool, then right-click the mouse, I get options that pertain to the circle tool, such as 3P for 3-point, 2P for 2-point circle, and TTR for tangent radius. If I'm in the rectangle tool, as you can see, I have a few different options as they pertain to establishing a rectangle, such as a chamfer, elevation fillet, thickness, and width. That's it, guys. That's how you use dynamic input, direct distance, and shortcut menus.